coast of Spain for solitude, the gilded grand hotels for dancing, the glass and marble stations for goodbyes. This we can share together if you accept my my love might last forever. Life is so brief.
Well, welcome everyone to our webinar tonight on behalf of Pacific Lutheran University Music Department. I'd like to welcome you to our masterclass this evening featuring American tenor William Burden. We'd also like to welcome our friends at the Schmidt competition and our invited guests, including Bill and Ann Farrell. After the singers are done, we will welcome questions from the audience that you can write in the Q&A function or in the chat. Now let me tell you about our guest, Bill Burden. American tenor William Burden has won an outstanding reputation in a wide-ranging repertoire throughout Europe and North America. He has appeared in many prestigious opera houses in the United States and Europe, including Metropolitan Opera, San Francisco Opera, Lyric Opera of Chicago, Los Angeles Opera, Houston Grand Opera, Washington National Opera, Seattle Opera, Opera Philadelphia, Santa Fe, it goes on and on. Glimmerglass Festival, New York City Opera, La Scala, Paris Opera, Glyndebourne Opera Festival, Madrid, Teatro Real, Netherlands Opera, etc. His many roles include the title roles of The Tales of Hoffmann, Faust, Peleus and Melisande. He just does the Peleus on that one. The Rake's Progress, Romeo and Juliet, Beatrice and Benedict, Candide, and Acis and Galatea. Other roles include, of the many, Peter Quint in The Turn of the Screw, Don José in Carmen, Gerald in Lacme, Edgardo in Lucia di Lammermoor, Nemorino in Elixir of Love, Nerone in Coronation of Pompeia, Ferrando in Così fan tutte, Lenski in Eugene Onegin, many other roles in his repertoire. Also a supporter of new works. He has created the roles of George Bailey in the world premiere of Jake Heggie's It's a Wonderful Life at Houston Grand Opera, Peter in Mark Adamo's The Gospel of Mary Magdalene, Dan Hill, Heart of a Soldier at the San Francisco Opera, Frank Harris in Theodore Morrison's Oscar at Santa Fe, also Dodge in Darren Hagen's Amelia at Seattle Opera. I saw that, and Bill was fantastic in that. In concert, Mr. Burden has appeared with the Chicago Symphony Orchestra, Atlanta, Philadelphia, St. Paul, Minnesota, St. Louis, Houston, Berlin Philharmonic, BBC Symphony Orchestra, Edinburgh Festival, on and on. William Burden was born in Miami, Florida. As an undergraduate, he studied at Middlebury College in Vermont and then entered the Indiana University School of Music, where he received his master's degree in vocal performance working with Margaret Harshaw. Burden participated in a number of summer programs, including the Merrill program at San Francisco Opera, Santa Fe Opera, apprentice program, and Wolf Trap Young Artist program. And it is with great pleasure that I'd like to introduce William Burden.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. So great to
Great to
see
be
you.
here.
And we're so thrilled to have you tonight.
Thank you so much. And you know, Barry, I feel like I have to say, especially since Bill and Ann are here tonight, I actually got my professional debut at the Tacoma Opera. I first sang Almaviva and the Barber of Seville, and then you and I sang together in
Oh,
the
how
Magic Flute.
great.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, it was a
And
long
my
time
love
ago,
affair
and
of the Pacific Northwest, actually, from those two
yes,
wonderful experiences.
that was a long time ago. Neither of us will say when that was, but there was one thing that I noticed about you that I thought was different, and it proved to be different. I've sung all this time myself. You have an incredible reputation in the business as one of the best colleagues and nicest guys around. It's the truth. You don't have to be embarrassed by that, but it's true. And I knew it back then. And I have a question coming about that. How did that help your? We have lots of young singers watching. How did that help your career as far as getting rehired, as far as just making shows better because you were in them?
Yeah. You know, almost anybody under good circumstances can be hired once. Getting hired back is really our job,
Right.
and uh, you know, it's actually it's what builds a career. It's what allows us to continue doing what we love. And when we are constantly moving from job to job with a whole new group of people, you hope that over time that group of people will include folks that you've met other places and all, but you can't count on that.
Right.
So I credit my parents truly with the way I choose to behave in a professional setting. They always encouraged me to bring my best self to wherever I was going to work, and to recognize that it was my obligation to try and bring that atmosphere into a work environment.
Yeah.
And it really it also makes it so much nicer for us. You know,
Right.
it
Right.
always made it nicer for me if where I was working felt comfortable and welcoming and collaborative. I mean, opera is truly the most collaborative art form of all the performing arts because
Right.
it brings in aspects of every other performing art, and it's so it really is incumbent upon us. It's also, you know, bottom line, life is too short. If you can't get along with your colleagues and be nice to one another, it's going to make these times when we have to be away from family and away from home and, you know, missing birthdays and holidays and
Right.
things, makes it so much more challenging.
Right.
So
Right.
truly, you bring your atmosphere into your workplace, and being the kind of person that, you know, you want your colleagues to be is a great start.
Yes. You you are chair of the voice department at Manus School of
Correct.
Music in Manhattan, and you also teach on the faculty at Juilliard.
Right.
And I know that you're still singing and you're still busy. How do you do the whole two faculties, chair at one?
Well, I mean, it really helps that both of the schools with, you know, with whom I have a relationship are conservatories. I don't have the sort of university bureaucracy that I need to really, you know, I don't sit on committees. I don't, you know, the downside of that is that I am adjunct at both places.
Yep.
So, you know, we sort of are told how things work, which, you know, in both of those very established conservatories works pretty well.
Yeah.
Um, but the understanding is when they bring in a singing artist, a singing teacher, that the expectation is we will continue to perform as much as we're able. So as long as I make up my lessons, which I'm pretty good about, um, then you know, we really, and my students all understand that it is a little bit, they may not have a lesson every single week. But even when I'm away, this remote life that we've all been experiencing this year is something that I've been doing over the years. If I'm singing in San Francisco or in
Oh,
Seattle, for example, I would connect with my students via FaceTime or Skype. And although it does not take the place of in person,
right,
it's been a great way to maintain contact. And then
right.
I do make up those lessons when I'm back.
Yeah. I remember when we did sing together in Tacoma, and we talked about this earlier. Um, you have you're very loyal to your Fach,
Yeah,
meaning what you sing, and not to necessarily push out of what you can do well, as far as the voice, and you haven't really pushed the voice, obviously, because you're still singing.
right.
And how important is that for a young singer to realize who they are vocally, and to play to that?
It's incredibly important. I was so fortunate in my work with Miss Harshaw at Indiana that, she came from a direct line of the bel canto tradition.
Right.
I mean, her teacher was the granddaughter of Garcia, so it was bel canto right down the line. And she was singing professionally in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, the sort of golden age of singing,
Right.
when this notion of putting voices into particular boxes didn't exist as much. So lyric tenors sang, you know, a huge amount of repertoire, even in the big houses. And so the way I was taught was to understand where I was at the time, recognize that I would grow as my instrument developed and matured with age. We are like fine wine, if on a good day.
Right.
And
We
so
like to think.
our voices do change and they mature. So my repertoire has changed. There
Yeah.
are specific times I can remember I've sort of said, okay, I'm going to put that role away now and start to look at other things. But the other part of that is it is so important that right from now you begin to develop your what a wonderful colleague of mine calls your board of directors. You are a company. You are your name / voice type Inc.
Right.
And you need a board of directors, teacher, a small handful of coaches you trust
Yep.
who know your instrument as well as you do and can listen objectively and impersonally and help to guide you. And those are the people I still have that group. And I go to them when I'm asked to do things now. I still have a teacher and I still have a handful of coaches that I go to. My manager is also on that board of directors.
That's great.
And I'm fortunate that my wife also knows my instrument incredibly well.
Yep.
But we need to be able to trust and rely on people. And it's
Yes.
not a huge number. I've been incredibly fortunate to have had really two primary teachers, and at Middlebury, wonderful teachers who encouraged and nurtured me at the very beginning of things and actually suggested that I go on to Indiana. But I am studying now with my basically second teacher, and I've been with him for 27 years or so now. And that's Arthur Levy. We happen to be colleagues at Manus also.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I love the whole idea of you are a company,
Right.
because it is in a lot of ways such an individual career, a way of life. You are in charge of your brand, of everything that happens with you, of the health of everything. I love that idea.
Well, And even more so these days, when now you're required to have a presence on social media, to
Yeah.
be a self-promoter, to do, there's so much that I didn't really have to do, sort of coming up. But I'll tell you, the business thing comes from a wonderful colleague of mine who a lot of you may know, Stephen Cole, who was a brilliant
Love Stephen Cole.
character tenor.
Yep.
Had a remarkable career as a comprimario all throughout Europe and the U.S. Just a brilliant singer and a brilliant artist.
Yes, and great philosophies about things.
Right.
I've done 3 shows with him, 4 shows maybe, and there was one show where, and I do a lot of small roles with Seattle Opera, and when you do a small role, you shoot for 100%.
Right.
Because if you make one mistake, there's no chance for redemption.
Right.
And this one night I had made a little mistake or something, and I was just hanging my head backstage, and Stephen walks by and says, "What's the matter with you?" And I said, "Well, I didn't do that." He said, "Did you get a check tonight?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, get out there and do your best the next time."
Right.
Yeah, he's a tremendous colleague.
Absolutely.
In so many ways. Very wise. Well, we have 4 very excited singers ready to sing for you.
Fantastic.
And I'm going to bring on the first singer, and he's going to introduce himself and what he's going to sing.
Hello, my name is Kendon Bent, and I would like to sing Una furtiva lagrima from Donizetti's L'Elisir d'amore.
Una furtiva lacrima negli occhi suoi spuntò. Quelle festose giovani in viri or sembrò. Che più cercando io vo, che più cercando io vo, mamma, sì, mamma, lo vedo, lo vedo. Un solo istante i palpiti del suo bel cor sentì, i miei sospiri confondere per poco suoi sospiri. I palpiti sentir, confondere i miei con suoi sospiri. Il cielo si può morire, di più non chiedo, non chiedo. Oh, cielo, si può di più non chiedo, non chiedo, si può morire, si può morire d'amor.
Terrific. Oh, that's great. Wonderful job. Do me a favor, take one step back from where you are. You keep sort of cutting off.
Dang it. Sorry.
And listen, kudos to you and to all of your colleagues who are spending a year singing to recordings and in ways that you'll never have to again in your life. You'll never have to not be collaborating with somebody. So it's fantastic what you're doing. Let's just work backwards a little bit. This is the happiest day of Nemorino's life. And this is, even though this aria always sounds and everybody thinks it's sort of sad, he's just found out that the woman he's been in love with his entire life, he made jealous. And he made her cry. And he is beside himself with joy. And actually says at the end of this aria, I can die. I can die. It's as good as it gets. Now, I want to suggest to you, when you take your breath, prepare the resonant space that you're going to need for the highest note you have to sing. And that goes for every phrase you sing. So it doesn't matter whether it's from the very beginning, ooh, make that space, una, right? Or as those phrases build at the beginning, and we'll hit that, each breath you take is a little more stretch, and you use your air to maintain that space, okay? So start from, and let's just do it a cappella. A cielo si può morir. Actually, no, I lie. I want you to go, confondere I miei, big breath, co suoi sospir, and then hold it out, right? Allow that note to develop. Don't let anything ever feel like it's held, right? So that as you go, if you're prepared, when you take the breath before confondere, if you prepare for that G of cielo, then all through the held F, you're going to let it build and develop, and you're energizing that space with air so that cielo, that's a perfect example of that bel canto notion of appoggia, which is leaning on the air, right? And you see Italian singers do it all the time. So sospire cielo, and they do that, right? That's appoggia. So go from confondere with that G in mind, okay? And then the next phrase, I want you to lean into that beautiful sort of blue note, di più non, that, that little chromatic that just shows, it's that sort of wonderful feeling he has, okay? Confondere.
Confondere.
Make sure that you let yourself take that breath, right? No rush.
Okay.
Confondere I miei, co suoi sospir, cielo si può morir, di più non chiedo.
Hold on. Good. In your sort of mind's ear, you're actually singing that as the C. Let yourself really, it's going to feel much lower than you think it can. And keep that E vowel a little bit round, okay? So this is a thing that Miss Harshaw used to say, think a pure vowel, but sing through an oo space. So if you sang that phrase, ooh, di più non chiedo, okay?
Di più non chiedo,
Keep going.
non chiedo.
Space.
Oh, cielo, si può morire.
Good. Now space for the A.
Di più non chiedo.
Excellent. Now, I want you to make it 10 times sloppier than you just did. I want a big, what we as American singers might feel is pushing the bounds of bad taste. I want you to sing Di più non chiedo. Okay? Make us believe that Nemorino has to go, oh, at that moment. Okay?
Di più non chiedo.
Good. What do you think about that?
That's great.
Okay. Does it feel good? And
It feels really good. Yeah.
Good. It's terrific. It's absolutely stylistically right on target. Okay. Good. Now, in the cadenza, again, you gotta have space for that A that you're gonna go to. Non chie. So as you go up, I want you to imagine that E vowel of kie is gonna go even more toward oo as you get higher. And imagine that the line you're singing is not going from low to high, but is actually stretched in a horizontal way. Okay? So just do this for me. You start non chie. Sorry. Right? Sing for me. Good. That's every single note in that cadenza. Okay? And I want it to feel like that as you do it. So you're not going up and down. You have all the space for every note you sing right from the start.
Non chiedo.
Excellent. How'd that feel?
It felt different. More.
In what way?
More. Better. It felt better, but it also more. I guess less bouncy, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I've been trying to figure out how to get, because it's really easy to want to like rush through it.
Well, I'll tell you, it would make all the difference in the world on the last 2 pages of every Mozart aria you sing. If you imagine that it is a horizontal stretch that's happening rather than a vertical lift, suddenly the notion of the tessitura and the registration and all just goes away, because you have that space and all you're doing is energizing it with air. Okay?
Okay.
Do it one more time, and then take your time on the last 2, the si può morir, and make them a little bit different. Give yourself time as Nemorino to think about si può morir d'amor. Okay?
non chiedo, si può morire, si può morire d'amor.
Beautiful. The second one, si può morire. Can you bring a little more roundness into that E? It'll be easier. E, do. That transition will be almost the same, right? Those notes, you won't feel like you're going to a different place. Si morir.
Si può morire.
Just round the mouth. Yeah. It's as easy as just rounding the mouth. Si può.
Si può morire d'amor.
Beautiful. Don't ever let anybody rush you through those in those cadential moments. You have all the time in the world. That's Nemorino figuring out, taking us to where he has gone emotionally in that aria. Okay? Excellent. I see Barry.
Thank you.
Thanks
you.
so
Beautiful
much.
stuff. Thank you, Kendon. Beautiful
Thank
job.
you very much.
Yeah. We have a baritone up for you next, Hugh Davis, and I will let him tell you what he's going to sing.
Hello, my name is Hugh Davis, and I will be singing Hai già vinta la causa from Mozart's Le nozze di Figaro. Hai già vinta la causa, cosa sento? In qual laccio io cadea? Perfidi, io voglio di tal modo punirvi. A piacer mio la sentenza sarà. Ma se pagasse la vecchia prededente, pagalla in qual maniera? E poi ve Antonio, che all'incognito Figaro ricusa di dare non nipote in matrimonio. Coltivando l'orgoglio di questo mendicato, tutto giova un raggio. Il corpo è fatto, vedrò mentr'io sospiro, felice un servo mio. Vedrò che invan desio ei possedere dovrà. Vedrò per man d'amore unita un vile oggetto ch'in me destò l'affetto, che per me poi non ha, che per me poi non ha. Vedrò mentre io sospiro, felice un servo mio. Vedrò che un ben ch'io desio e posseder dovrà. Vedrò per man d'amore unita un vile oggetto ch'in me destò l'affetto, che per me poi non per me poi non ha. Vedrò, 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 vedrò. Ah no, lasciarti in pace, non può questo contento. Tu non nascesti autace, tu non nascesti autace, per dai a me dormendo, e forse ancora per ridere in mia felicità. Già la speranza sola delle vendette mie quest'anima consola, e giubilar mi fa, e giubilar mi fa. Ah, che lasciarti in pace non può questo contento. Tu non nascesti autace, per dai a me dormendo, e forse ancora per ridere in mia infelicità. Già la speranza sola delle vendette mie quest'anima consola, e giubilar mi fa, e giubilar mi fa, e giubilar, e giubilar mi fa, e giubilar mi fa, e giubilar mi fa.
Excellent. No, listen. Don't even think twice about it. Come on. We all do that. That happens every now and then. It was amazing. And, you know, incredibly important that you learn right from the start. This aria is not about a single note. It can't be.
No.
Right? This aria is about so much more. So when you have to sing florid passages, it is your responsibility to come up with a reason why the count has to sing that, other than the fact that Wolfgang happened to write that part. Okay? So when you get to, let's go from, do you have a score in front of you? Okay. So I have the Barenreiter, and I'm going from measure 99. E jubilar mi fa, e jubilar. Now, same thing that I told Kendon. I want you to think about breathing for the highest note you have to sing, and then using your air to maintain that space. It's not going to change even if you come down. If the line comes down the scale, that space is maintained, so every note you sing in the phrase gets the benefit of the resonant space of the highest note. Okay, so when you get to fa jubilare, jubilar, mi fa jubilar. Now, there's got to be a reason why he goes right, and he stays right there at that D space. He's that angry, even though that happens, right? Mm-hmm. So can we go from there? Hey, jubilar mi fa. Sorry. Let me stop you. Sorry. When you go, do you have a live pianist there?
I do.
Oh my gosh! That's awesome.
One of the lucky ones.
Thank you, unseen pianist. Don't let it be this way. You need the space for that vowel on jubilar. Okay, so keep the A really round. This is kind of another bel canto thing. That whole idea of thinking the pure vowel, keeping the space, all our vowels become a little more round and are informed by that kind of ness. So instead of I-O there. I-O. And you wind up being much more efficient here. You don't really, it's, diction's going to happen in the brain, not in the mouth. Okay? E giù.
E jubilar mi fa, e jubilar, mi fa, e jubilar, mi fa.
Good. Now, before we get there again, I want you to think the breath you take already has that F sharp, that space you're going to need, as if you were going to sing, E jubilar mi fa, e jubilar mi fa, right? So when you go, E jubilar, I want you to sing into that mi fa, and imagine that you are, see, in pandemic, I get to have all my little visual aids. Imagine that you're doing this.
Okay.
Mi fa, okay? You're stretching back, up and over is where the tone is going to go. You're getting a big yawny space, and you sing into that A like you were going to the end of a diving board to get spring, okay? So I want you to do from where we started again, and I won't stop you this time.
Okay. E ju,
No, from E jubilar mi. Yeah.
e jubilar mi va, e jubilar, mi va, e jubilar, mi va, e jubilar mi va, e jubilar mi va.
Awesome. Yeah. Right? And then, and it's not about that note. It's about the Count getting his yayas at the end of this aria. Right? Okay, cool. Can we go to the recit? I personally, and I know a lot of coaches won't necessarily agree with this. I really think that you need to think of, all of you, need to think of recits as the sort of foundation, the ground floor of the aria. And if recits are undersung, it gets really, really hard once the concerted piece happens to kind of get back to singing. And you'll be asked very often by conductors to make the recits a little more speaky, make them a little more, well, we, the audience, actually understand the diction more clearly when there is space around your sound and when the diction isn't happening in your mouth. So instead of singing, hai già vinta la causa, but going, hai già vinta la causa, cosa sento in quel laccio e cadea, that you really can give us all of your instruments, and we get the diction clearly, and we're not confused that this is recit and not sort of aria, okay? It also then makes it so much easier for you to transition right into the aria without, you're not shifting gears, because you're right there on the singing with the same voice, right? So let's just start it. Hai già vinto.
Hai già vinta la causa, cosa sento in quel laccio io cadea.
Cool. How does this feel?
It feels a lot easier.
Oh,
It feels like I'm singing.
I'm
I am
all about easier. Yeah. I mean, and really, we've all been singing in our bedrooms and living rooms for far too long. You'll never sing this recit in a space the size that you're singing in now. So we just need to know that you're singing for, it's not that you're singing louder, it's that there is an energized intention to your sound, even in the recits. Okay, great. Start it again and Onward.
Hai già vinta la causa, cosa sento? In qual accio io carea? Perfidi, io voglio.
Sorry, I said I wouldn't stop you, but I did.
That's okay.
Make sure you take your breath far in advance of, no matter how short you want the perfidy to be, I need you to go during bum 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 perfidi. Io voglio di tal modo pu. You've got to breathe, because if you try and don't let your breath set the emotion. Let Mozart kind of took care of that for you. You got to always know, release low, support that sound. Okay? Bum, bum, bum from the presto.
Perfidi, io voglio di tal modo punirvi. A piacer mio la sentenza sarà.
Change the color.
Ma se pagasse la vecchia prededente.
Good. What does that mean?
Right before that, he's talking about how how much he has no money to pay off the. But how is he going to pay the plaintiff? Sorry.
Right. Ma se pagasse. Everything about this is kind of ticked off. So don't let it get too sort of lyrical. You'll have those moments. You have other moments for that in the opera. But this needs to sort of say, ma se pagasse la vecchia pretendente. How am I going to pay her off? You know, when, right? Just, again, stay in that kind of emotional place.
Ma se pagasse la vecchia pretendente, pagarla in qual maniera? E poi ve Antonio, che all'incognito Figaro ricusa di dare una nipote in matrimonio. Coltivando l'orgoglio di questo mentecato. Tutto giova un raggio. Il corpo è fatto.
Awesome. That's terrific. That then sets up this, sorry, bum, brum, brum, bum, bum. You launch it. Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Hugh. Beautiful, beautiful. Thanks, Bill. Next up, we have a mezzo-soprano for you, Isabella Daltozo, and I'll let her introduce what she's singing.
Isabella, you're muted.
Thank you, of course. Hello, my name is Isabella Daltoso, and I would like to sing Voix sur le chef Remisson from Offenbach's Le Comte d'Hoffmann.
Terrific.
Thank you.
Really good. There are a couple of stylistic things that I'd love you to just kind of take on board a little bit. Once or twice in this, you can portamento.
Okay.
Once or twice.
Once or twice, not all the time.
Yeah, it's just, it becomes a little Italianate then.
Okay.
And it's just a style thing, but it's very specific to French repertoire. However, from a technical standpoint, I want you to experience physically what you do when you portamento, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're gonna sing Vacker, sing Vacker, but feel the air.
Right.
Actually support that descending interval.
Okay.
Oh, you're singing Tolka, right?
Yes.
Really, really close that O.
Okay. Do it.
Yeah, yeah. And,
okay.
And really think big stretch. Yeah. So long as you maintain that body connection to it, mm-hmm. we hear the connection to the notes, but it is much more stylistic.
Okay.
Same thing all throughout. The legato, so the thing about singing French is unlike Italian, German, and actually most other languages, there's no stressed syllable, right? Mm-hmm. So right from the voix sous l'arche frémissant, vibrer la boîte sonore, right? So there's your legato. Can you start it from there? Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the English. Voix sous. Yeah. And
awesome.
I kind of love that without the port there too, the way you just did it. That
Right.
was great. Same thing now as you go forward. Just keep going. Entend. Good. Entend. So we want simplicity and efficiency with our diction, right? Entend le céleste accent.
Entends le céleste accent.
Yeah.
Entends le céleste accent. Descendant du Seigneur.
Yeah. Good. Now, know that you're singing an octave in this phrase.
Yeah.
Make sure you have the space for the top of the
Ah.
octave. You open low, but stretch high, and let the sound mix itself.
Okay.
Cool. So no press.
Écoute.
Good. And keep the again round like in that. So think the
Écoute.
Yeah.
Écoute la place de l'art. Le son d'un natron éclair. Le son d'un bordable oreille. De cette bordable oreille.
Good. Now think about you need that space when
Right.
you take your breath. You won't need to portamento, but lean into the B flat so that the D is a sort of that feeling, but it's a stretch.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah. See, I don't, then that's nowhere near high for you,
No.
right? Again, if everything you sing from low A in this to the G at the end or to the A at the end,
Nay at the end.
it's 2 octaves, but
Yeah.
do what I had Kendon do. Sorry, I sort of covered your sound. Do it again. And think of it as happening horizontally. So you
Okay.
breathe the space for the high A. Right. And that is actually how efficient you can be through this whole aria, even though it's incredibly rangy. Okay? Good. Let's go from et le console. Good. And don't be concerned if the E's, A's, and A's feel a little round. I know we don't like to say dark when we're talking about mezzos, but think of it as rich, round.
Okay.
A, E, E, instead of A,
Right.
right? Enivré. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's just covered a little bit.
So yeah, I mean, but really all you're doing is keeping your lips round.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just the lips come in a little.
Right. And so with much less experienced French singers, I tell them to keep their lips like Sebastian the Crab in The Little Mermaid.
Right.
You know, he talks like this all the time. No matter what he says, he keeps his lips like this, and you'll see it makes A, E, O, U, everything is right there. Okay? I mean, it's a little silly, but it gets the point across. So now, C'est l'amour. I want the most closed ooh and the most closed o every option you get.
Okay.
Okay.
C'est l'amour, vainqueur.
Vainqueur. You know, the
Vainqueur.
feel it like right behind your nasal passages. That's
Okay.
like where we live.
Vainqueur. Okay.
Sorry, that's to A.
Yeah.
How's that feel?
It was more open, for sure, less pressed.
Yeah, I mean, really, all that singing is air and space.
Yeah.
Right? And if we don't open all the space, our sound can't resonate the way it's supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And all of the sort of guiding and point and spin, that's all kind of out of our hands. Right?
Mm-hmm.
We're in control of the production of the sound, but the sound itself, if we produce it the right way, the sound takes care of spin and ping and ring and projection, all that stuff. Just get it open. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
C'est l'amour, vainqueur. Donne ton cœur. C'est l'amour,
Good. More. Open top and bottom.
Right.
Let it go. Good. Just go through your score and cross out all the final consonants on the nasals. Like
Okay.
ton.
Ton cœur.
Yeah, I'm still getting ton cœur.
Oh, okay.
Ton cœur.
Cœur. Okay.
Yeah, better. Good. So I want now just the last phrase, because Barry came in with his 2-minute warning. C'est l'amour, vainqueur.
C'est l'amour,
Good. Don't close the space down from talker. Yes.
That's awesome.
Fantastic. Beautiful, Isabella. Thank you so much.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much. This was so fun. Thank you.
Beautiful, Isabella.
Such a great aria.
Yeah. We have another French piece for you, aria. And I will let Joshua Sia tell you what he's going to be singing. You're muted, Joshua.
Yes, I know. Love Zoom. Hello, my name is Joshua Sia, and today I would like to sing for you Venez-moi, ma bien-aimée from Les Rois 10 by Edouard Lalo. Okay. Let's play my track. Puisqu'on ne peut fléchir ces jalouses gardiennes, oh, laissez-moi condé me bene, aimez-moi. Venez-moi, moi bien-aimé, on croit mais désespéré, près de ta porte est fermée, je veux encore demeurer. Les soleils pourront s'éteindre, les nuits remplacer les jours, sans t'accuser et sans me plaindre. Là, je resterai toujours, toujours. Je laisserai ton âme douce et l'heure bientôt viendra, la main qui me rapieuse vers la mienne s'étendra. Ne sois pas trop tardive à délaisser et attendrir. Si Rosen t'en arrive, je vais hélas mourir, hélas mourir.
Great. Oh, this is such a beautiful aria, you know. Make friends with your schwa.
Schwa.
Le, je, le, me, all the ending douce, and it really helps to sort of stay le, re, bientôt, that it lets us keep the you know, that sort of tenor thing we don't want to lose, right? Let's go from ne sois pas. I want you to do it all on ou or lu, 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 and I want it to be a really spacious, kind of domey, round, real sort of ooey ooh, not I want it closed, but I don't want it to be pingy.
Okay.
Okay. Lu, lu, lu. Good, good. Now, wherever you're feeling that kind of yawny space, don't feel a lift here to support it. Use air. Forget about dynamics and everything, okay? This is just an exercise. Good. Joshua, you can breathe too. Don't breathe.
Okay.
Okay. Good. Keep going. Good. Yeah. Now I want you to feel again as if you were going to go. That's the space I need you to have. And what you're going to feel is that appoggia that I talked about before, which is leaning. It's from the Italian word appoggiare, which means to lean, right? So you move the air. You just lean on air that's already there, holding that space open. Beautiful. Now, with the text, I want it to feel the same. So I want you to maintain that oo space. I don't care about the diction. Just think the diction. Ne sois pas bien, trop tardive à te laisser attendrir. Si Rosen bientôt n'arrive, je vais hélas mourir. Okay? Keep that space and think about the color of the sound, not a dynamic.
Okay.
Okay?
Ne sois pas tradive.
Laisser,
Hein?
à te laisser, à te.
À te laisser attendrir. Si Rosen ton arrive, je
Si Rosen, bientôt. So Rosen, that's her name, and when you say it, it should mean everything, right? Si Rosen bientôt n'arrive. If she doesn't come, je vais hélas mourir. I'm going to die, right? Si Rosen bientôt n'arrive, je vais hélas mourir. Hélas mourir. Okay? Si Rosen.
Si Rosen bientôt n'arrive, je vais hélas mourir, hélas mourir.
Beautiful. Good. Can we go from the beginning and do the little recity part? And again, same thing as with a Mozart recit. I want you to sort of sing into it so that once you get to Vraiment, ma bien-aimée, you're already like on the road. It's a thing that my teacher, Miss Harshaw, used to say. Sorry, I refer to her because she's right there on the piano. And she used to say, you know, if you're going uptown, you got to get on the right bus. So you get on the right bus from the beginning, then you're on your journey. You're not trying to shift gears between recit into aria, right? So puisqu'on I lied. Puisqu'on ne peut, and like open everything, open all the doors inside you so we hear your full resonant space.
Puisqu'on ne peut fléchir ces jalouses gardiennes.
Good. C'est jaloux. That's middle voice for us, right? Mm-hmm. So in essence, I wanted to have like 50% head voice, 50% chest voice, just you sing straight on. C'est jaloux. Just stretch. Support low, ces jalouses gardiennes. Go from puis again.
Puisqu'on ne peut fléchir ces jalouses gardiennes. Laissez-moi compter mes peines.
Good. Can I have aw instead of ah, right? So again, I'm going to maintain that oo space and keep the lips round. Oh, laissez-moi.
Oh, laissez-moi compter mes peines et mon émoi.
Beautiful. Laissez with S, double S, laissez-moi, compter, very closed and nasal, mes peines.
No, okay.
Mes peines. That's one of the schwas I want you to become friends with. Mes peines et mon émoi. Once more there. Oh, how did that feel?
It felt a lot more present. I like the sound, yeah. It's good.
And I want you to pay more attention to how it feels, and I'll pay attention to the sound, okay?
Oh. Ah, laissez-moi compter mes peines Hemon hemwa.
Beautiful. Now, same idea. Color. Sorry. Venement. Venement.
Venement, ma bien-aimée. Encre.
I still got venement. Venement.
No, okay.
Yeah, that's again a schwa. Anything I can do to keep that sort of Sebastian the Crab round mouth. Venement, ma bien-aimée. On croit me désespérer.
Okay.
Yeah, because we want simplicity and efficiency,
Okay.
right? Good.
Venement, ma bien-aimée, on croit me désespérer.
Près de ta porte.
Près de ta porte fermée, je veux encore demeurer.
Good. So you know how I had said, breathe for the highest note? That's the space you need. So when you go, près de ta porte, it's just stretch. Porte fermée.
Près de ta porte fermée.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did that feel?
It was more comfortable, yeah. Like it was already there. Yeah.
One more time to the end of the phrase.
Près de ta porte fermée, je veux encore demeurer.
Demeurer. Demeurer.
Encore demeurer.
You're still saying demeurer? Demeurer.
Demeurer.
Yeah.
Encore demeurer.
Then you don't have to change anything.
Yeah.
You'll see. I mean, it's why I love singing French so much. Once you get really comfortable with it, it almost feels like you don't have to move anything.
Okay.
Le soleil pourant s'éteindre, la nuit remplacer les jours, sont accusés et sont à plaindre. Je vais, or whatever it is. Anyway, là, je resterai. Good. Going on there. Le soleil.
Les soleils pourront éteindre, les nuits remplacer les jours, sans accusés pourront éteindre, là je resterai toujours.
Good. And since you did it so beautifully, I have to make you do it again. You may portamento up. But then just don't portamento down.
Là je resterai toujours.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank
It was
you.
really wonderful.
Thank you, Joshua. Beautiful job. And thank you, Bill.
My pleasure.
Oh,
This
what
was
a
great. Really wonderful.
fabulous job. It was you're so non-threatening,
Okay.
and it was like an hour spent reading vocal wisdom.
Oh, well, thank
it-
you.
It's just so beautiful. Such a beautiful way to teach the bel canto, and it cuts across all voice types.
Right.
It's just so wonderful. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank
We-
you.
Our students just have
thank
benefited
you, the
so much.
wonderful singers who participated. I mean, these are such challenging times. And to do this in this kind of setting, it's really remarkable. I mean, I have to say, my hat is off to all our wonderful students who have just been doing these incredible things consistently for more than a year now.
God bless them.
Yeah.
I know it. They've done incredible things, and this is their time.
Right.
This is their time in college.
But it shows that the creative spirit can still blossom and develop and be making progress and taking steps forward and creating new ways to think about things. I mean, it's really remarkable. It has, you know, I wouldn't say restored my faith, but it has certainly continued to nurture my faith in the belief that the arts is just so important in our experiences, and it brings, you know, light to everything that we're doing.
Right, right. It was so wonderful to hear you work in the French repertoire. I know that you've had gigantic successes
Well, really, it's always
in French.
it's always felt terrific to me. I studied Spanish literature in college,
Okay.
and so the Romance languages, you know, sort of fell into place. But I found myself having to do a lot of French, and I got hired to sing a lot of French opera in France. So I had to learn to speak French on the fly. So as chatty as I am, to have to spend days in rehearsal with all French, you know, all of my colleagues were French conductors, French directors. I was really quiet and focused and had to listen, but I picked it up. And
Oh my gosh. So you speak French now?
well, I can communicate. I don't
Yeah.
necessarily speak correctly, but I understand it, and it is my favorite foreign language to sing.
Well, the roles that you've done, Peleas, I
Yeah,
mean, it, it's a killer.
it
It's a
is. I
killer
mean,
for it's a killer for French speakers.
yeah, it's. I mean, and that is sort of funny. I did my first Peleas in France with an all French cast, and so it was, you know, talk about trial by fire.
No
But
kidding.
you know, it's one of the things that we all have to, and you know this. We have to develop our mimic ear. So
Right.
I would listen and I would hear people and get a sense of how they used the language vocally, and it made all the difference for me.
Right. And I will mention to the audience that now is a time if you have questions for Bill. Now would be the time to write them in the Q&A or in the chat. But I still want to talk about diction and English
Right.
diction. You have done so many premieres, new works, etc. And I think a big part of that is you're a superior musician, all that, but the diction is your diction is so spectacularly good that uh, you know that's what the composers want
Right.
is they
Right.
want the words. Did you have to work at that or
Well, I did, but I had to come to an understanding that, and I said it to a couple of our young folks today, is that the diction really, I have grown to understand that diction happens in our brain. And when we become manipulative in the mouth and sort of with the mechanism, with the instrument,
yeah
to try and manipulate the text, it's nowhere near as clear to the audience, even if we feel like we are chewing up everything we say. What our sound really needs in an acoustic space is some resonant space around it, and then the audience can hear. And so, you know, this was very much the technique I was taught as a young singer. Low support, high placement. The high placement comes from the low breath, but when the diction feels like it's happening across the hard palate, which to us feels a little bit yawny and a little bit as if we had sort of mashed potatoes in our mouths, it actually then travels, because we want our best sound to happen out here for the audience,
right
not for us. So if my diction is really clear and I hear every K and T, and, you know, they're not getting that. That goes about 3 feet in front of us. It's all about that, you know, singing is air and space. It really is.
Right,
So
right.
the vibrations can then do what they do. And it also is what makes each of our voices unique, because the vibrations that we're creating are bouncing off all our bones and our interior spaces and our being and pinging out into a resonant space. And they have to be unique that way because we're not manipulating them in any way.
Right, right. Singing is vowels.
Oh, yes.
Uh,
Absolutely can't have
and
legato without vowels.
yeah, and so oftentimes when I'm sitting in an audience and I'm listening to a singer or to a choir and I'm not understanding the words,
Right.
it's that I don't understand the vowels.
Yep. Yeah.
That the vowels are not clear. They're not formed well.
Yeah. Well, and this is why the way I was taught, the way Ms. Harshaw would talk about it, was to always think the pure vowel. So she was not teaching us to modify our vowels in different parts of our voice. She would always say, think the pure vowel, but you sing it through the oo space. So the vowel does, you know, the sound modifies, but it modifies to the most resonant, you know, the vowel that is going to speak most clearly. And that always makes for clear diction then.
Yeah, yeah. You know, you were talking about the times we are now living through and singers, and what would you have to say to young singers during these times? There are opera companies that have shut down around. Not a lot, I'm glad, but many have cut down productions,
Sure.
things like that. What words of wisdom or encouragement or anything for any of us
Right.
might you have?
I would say be patient and stay as disciplined and committed as you can. You know, this is actually a sort of luxury of time you may never find again, because once school gets back to being in person and commutes are happening and you're running between classes and going from rehearsal to rehearsal, and you may not have the opportunity to learn the song cycle that has sort of piqued your interest, or to pick up a role from an opera and decide to study it. I mean, I always had this running joke with my mother. She used to say, well, you know, you're home now for 3 weeks. Why don't you work on, you know, why don't you learn a new role or do a, you know, Mom, I'm getting ready to do the next thing I have to do and I need to rest a little bit. Well, this is an incredible time for all of us to take advantage of this opportunity that's been foisted upon us, but to really take a step back, work on your diction, work on your languages. Knowing the parts of speech in the language in which you are singing is, I think, certainly as important, if not more important, than the diction.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know where the verb is in the phrase that you're singing, you're not going to make sense of that text. So we have this time, and it really is a luxury of time right now that I think you can take advantage of. And the other side of it is, do not beat yourself up for deciding to take a couple of days off for a little bit of self-care, which we all desperately need. It's going to do as much for you as sort of pushing through, you know, yet another Zoom masterclass or whatever that might be. That, you know, acknowledge that you're actually really doing great through all of this. And, you know, we're all doing great, and we're all going to circle the wagons on the other side of this and see where we land. But I do believe that recitals, chamber works, opera in concert, all of the steps that we're going to have to take in performance to get back to 75 people spitting on each other on a big stage in costumes with a huge orchestra, we all need to be able to do that now. And it's, you know, these wonderful opportunities we have in school, even if it's a concert aria opera where we can't face one another, it gives us a chance. If I'm singing this duet with this person standing here, I can still show all that in my face. These are opportunities for us.
Right, right. Thank you.
Yeah.
I would like to say thank you. We have one question that I'll read from the Q&A, but I would like to say thank you to our singers, and thank you to Amy Bors, accompanist, who laid down some accompaniment tracks. Thank you to all of them. Just super job tonight.
Fantastic.
And our question comes from a person who is well known to the PLU community, and I believe you know this person. How do you recommend young singers develop a good sense of a practice routine? And that comes from Marissa Moultrie.
Okay. I would encourage, and I do encourage my students to take, and then this actually did come from Ms. Harshaw when I was in grad school. She would say 10 to 12 minutes, 3 times a day of absolutely focused vocalizing or working on a particular passage. But the focus is the most important thing. We tend to go into a practice room and I'm thinking, wow, I just got cast as Tamino and I'm just going to bash through the whole role. No, you take it in pieces and start building the habits now that are going to set you on a really, really effective and efficient path throughout your future. One that I, to be honest, did not always follow. But I encourage my students to start with the text, read the text, get comfortable with that, the text in rhythm, then the notes on a comfortable vowel, which, usually for me is either a nice round ah or an oo, and then finally the text and the rhythm and the notes all together. And you'd be surprised how quickly you learn that way, even though it feels like it's baby steps.
Yeah.
But those even 10 minutes a day of serious vocal concentration can move you forward much, much more than sort of 90 minutes of bashing away at something.
Right.
So much of what we do is our brains, right? Everything that's going on, the control that we have to maintain is mental. So you can spend a lot of time learning text, learning languages, working on understanding how the music works and how the role is developed and translating your arias and all the things you have to do without uttering a sound. And then once you get to that point, this is 2 folds of skin that vibrate because air goes by them. We are not breakable. We are strong, and good singing really promotes good singing. So let it rip a little bit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for this evening and your time. We just appreciate it so much, and the wonderful things that you've had to say to our singers. Thank you,
My
Bill.
pleasure.
And thank you to everyone out there, and thanks for joining us. And we'll see you at the next one. I believe it's Lizette Oropeza. Wonderful soprano.
Amazing soprano.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Good night.